Hello, friends. Welcome back to Creativity Connects with Mikki Wilson. This is a podcast that brings you into the stories of women behind the work. I'm Mikki Wilson, your host, team member at Creative Collective, and I'm the founder of Dot Connector Consulting. People call me the Dot Connector because I do, in fact, connect the dots. But what I do best, I think, is create supportive strategies for women to help them amplify their value, their voice, and their visibility with intention. Enough about me. Let's talk about this amazing podcast. This podcast is a partnership with Creative Collective and Peabody TV. Creative Collective is a business program that provides modern business support for small businesses and creators. So I just love the fact that we can all collaborate as creatives and rise together doing projects like this. With Creative Collective, whether it is events, resources, or real connections, the collective helps creative entrepreneurs grow, not just in their work, but also in their impact. So that's exactly what we're doing here today. In every episode, I love to spotlight a woman from our community and focus not only on what she does, but why she does it. I like to dig into the who, the how, and the why of how women are showing up in their work and how they're using their creativity to create change in the world, and really how it shapes her journey along the way. This is where we leave the surface level at the door and make space for the story behind the brands and, again, the woman behind the work. So, Jessie, welcome. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest today before we dive in. I'm sitting down with my girl, Jessie Elly. She is the founder and CEO of Old Soul Young World, a motivational media platform dedicated to inspiring and empowering entrepreneurs and youth through creativity, storytelling, and purpose. Very important. Jessie's journey is layered and it's full of heart, which is why I asked her to be here today. With a background in communications, media creation, and years of experience working with young people as a youth director and coach mentor, she brings a rare blend of leadership, artistry, and lived experience into everything that she does. She is also a multidisciplinary artist, a painter, a poet, writer, speaker, and host of the Old Soul Young World podcast, which is now 3 seasons in and features over 95 guests. Y'all, I'm just trying to be like Jessie when I grow up over here. Her work lives at the intersection of creative expression, mental wellness, and youth empowerment, and her commitment to vulnerable communication is one of the many reasons I'm excited to have her here today. So with that said, Jessie, welcome to Creativity Connects. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Thank you so much, Mikki. I'm so excited and honored to be here. And honestly, girl, I couldn't have said that intro better myself. You had it down to a T, and I really appreciate you having me.
You're so welcome. Look, I love that you pull from the lived experience. I've had people that have been on podcasts before. I think one person that hosts a podcast, but I get really excited when I kind of get to talk to my people, and you've been doing this. So we're going to dig into what got you here today and how we can connect you to more people so you can continue to do the great work that you do.
Amazing.
Okay.
Can't wait.
Oh, this is going to be good because we start with a little bit of game.
Real good.
Oh, it's going to be real good.
Real good.
We have prizes too, so get excited.
Oh, we got prizes
Oh, we got
too.
prizes.
Oh,
we got
okay.
prizes, people.
Stay tuned.
So, for the listeners and the watchers out there, you know how I've been starting to warm up. We're going to play a game with Jessie called Connect the Dots, okay? This is where you get to tell us in a few words or a short story, if you will. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I am curious about the one person, the one place, and the one thing that allows you to really show up as you are in your creativity, in the work that you do.
Amazing. Let's go.
Are you ready to play?
I'm ready.
If you answer all 3 questions, you get the prize.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's go.
The viewers want to know what the prize is because I talk about the prize, but this is the first time that.
See it?
Oh no, this is the first time that I'm showing the prize.
Oh, snap. You'll get something different today.
I just want to say, you guys are going to be surprised, but you're not going to be surprised. Let's go. Let's dive in.
Let's go.
All right, Jessie, tell me, who is one person that has helped shape your creativity?
That is a great question. And I want to say two people, but I'm going to just pick one. And
you're allowed to break the rules. I'm breaking before you start.
Break the rules
there are people that come on here and they say, Mikki, I'm going to break the rules before we start. So I'm going to let you honor your two people that come to mind.
That is amazing because one is a past person and one is more of a future now person.
Love this.
So the first person who really honed my creativity, I have to shout out my freshman year English teacher. So I know sometimes we all have educators or leaders or mentors in our life who really traject us into a path. Mm-hmm. And usually those people who do that see something in you that you don't see in yourself yet, mm-hmm. and they help you reflect on that. So my sixth grade English teacher was also the spoken word club organizer at my high school. And I was like, what's spoken word? Like, I wrote poetry since fifth grade. It was something that was just like in my soul when I was born. I've always been a poet. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until high school that I've had somebody be like, do you know you can like say this out loud, that you can be like speaking these poems? And so I was able to join our poetry club there, and we went to MIT Louder Than a Bomb, and I got to perform in front of thousands of people. We came in fourth place at the competition. And, you know, your girl ended with all 10s in the spoken word competition. But aside from that, he really saw my light and he encouraged to push me forward. So even when my family or friends were like, oh, Jessie, you're so shy, you don't speak up, blah, 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 but they would see me perform. They'd be like, who is this Jessie? Who's this new Jessie? And I'm like, this isn't a new Jessie. This is just a Jessie that nobody ever let me see or embrace before. And that voice had always been within me. So if it wasn't for that teacher encouraging me to continue with my spoken word, I would not be here probably right now. And I would have never been able to grow that outlet that helped me express so much of my mental health struggles at such a young age. So I have to shout out that teacher. And then secondly, my future now person is Marlon Orozco. Marlon was a friend that I met. He was a photographer when I met him. So we met at an art event that I was live painting at. And months into us talking and me expressing my concepts and ideas about mental health and struggle to success and wondering, really, was I the only one who struggles to success? Am I the only one who wakes up and questions and doubts myself, but still keeps striving for something greater, a greater purpose? And he literally sat down with me one day and he was like, Jessie, just start Old Soul Young World next week. You've been telling me about Old Soul Young World. Just do it. Do it on a radio talk show station on this website that I know of. So I literally started Old Soul Young World as just an audio live talk show on Tuesday nights that people could call in like a radio station. And I was breaking down the concept of what a soul even meant. So I have to shout out Marlon for being somebody who really push forward my creativity.
I love this. And okay, the thing I love about both of these people in your life, two important things. I think they end up coming up over and over in this podcast and these episodes. But one I say all the time, love that you gave a shout out to the English teacher because I always say, look, I only got this far, and I feel a lot of people feel like this. I only got this far because I had a village that raised me, and it was a lot of teachers that saw something in me that I couldn't see it myself, that just kept giving me opportunities and putting me – I laugh now because looking back, I'm like, I've literally been on stage my whole life. Like, how did I not see this? But I always say that you need somebody in your corner that can see the thing in you that you can't see in yourself
100%. So
they can reflect that. So I love that that was your English teacher and the power to speak words out loud because we're in a society where women often get minimized. And I work with women that we have to work on, you know, elevating the voice part especially.
Right.
And so I love that at an early age, somebody inspired you to speak your words, especially through spoken word. Yes. Shout out to your second person, because what comes up in this podcast a lot is being around people who can see us and can see our talents. And also, I love what he did there because I'm telling you, I again, I have friends, I work with people, and when they keep talking to me about the same thing,
Right.
I tell people, I'm like, you get like 3 passes to talk to me about this before I'm telling you.
You got to do it.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it. My mom used to have the saying. She was like, Mikki, you have to shit or get off the pot.
Exactly.
No, it's very crass, people, but it's like
It's true.
We're just outside of Boston, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. But her thing was like, you can't sit here forever. You got to do something or you got to go. So
and I like to say sometimes we need that gentle push off the cliff so our wings can grow. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they're just not going to show.
yeah, look, you have an amazing way of learning how to fly when you're plummeting towards the ground.
Girl, it's the only way sometimes.
That's it. Keep it up. Oh, I love this. Okay, we got the 2 people. I like it. I feel like I have a little bit of a rule breaker in you. I've given you authority to bend the rules a bit. Okay. Can you give us one place that inspires you or grounds you?
Yeah, it's not like a physical like location address, but honestly, being in nature. And this has always been something for me since I was very young. And like I said, I've dealt with like a lot of mental health struggles, anxiety, depression, and self-harm since a very young age. So being able to remove myself from very like busy environmental scheduled situations or environments and put myself into going to take a hike, taking a walk, anything like that has always been able to balance me out. And I really feel like, we're just spirits. This is a flesh vessel and I have a spirit inside and my spirit was derived from nature and we are connected to nature. And like when we can remove ourselves from the busy consumer world that we've been placed in and reconnect with what those roots are, what your ancestors intended for our lives to live, like you can just tap in with your purpose so much deeper. And if it wasn't for those moments of like getting into nature and hiking and being able to like sit down and write and reset, I don't know where I would be at. I feel like the consumer world would have consumed me. So definitely nature is my grounding point.
Oh, I love this. And I'm actually going to go back and ask you a question because you touched on this, but I just want to say I love nature, and I know you do work with young people, and I shared with you recently that I am an ambassador, so I get this opportunity to talk to a lot of young people, especially about social media. And so we always ask this question, like, what do you do when you go take a break? And I swear to God, I can't hear kids say enough, like, go touch some grass.
Literally.
Like, go outside and go touch some grass.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, go touch the grass. Go touch the grass. Become one with the grass.
Literally.
Here's the question I wanted to reflect back on because I think it's important to have context. I think it will connect with someone. But in your definition, because you have the podcast, Old Soul, Young World, how do you define a soul? Because I think we're all having a human experience here. And you just said, for those that accept it, we are flesh. I love that you said flesh vessels. I'm
yes. Do you like that one? I got a few more of that if you want me to whip them out.
I can't unhear that now. But you're right? We're having a human experience.
Yes.
So can you just give us context on how do you define a soul?
So that's a great question. I don't think I've ever been asked that before.
See, I asked.
It's very special.
I ask all the questions. You're welcome.
There's a lot of terminology that I personally could use to describe what a soul is, but I think the best way to reflect to anybody is that we all have a soul like we all have a heart. And it is something that is unseen, untouchable. It's not physical, but I believe, right, once this flesh vessel passes on, once this is no longer the heart's beating, the blood's pumping, that soul, whatever is in me, will continue on.
Yep.
That is what was put inside of this body when I was concepted. And it's what carries my resilience. It's what carries my sense of purpose. It is this part inside of me, like I said, it's untouchable, but it's what makes me who I am.
Yeah.
So take somebody else's soul and put it in me, maybe I'd act completely differently. Maybe I'd think and feel completely differently. I think those souls are what move us along in our journey and our life transition, because personally, I don't believe life ends on this physical planet called Earth. I believe that we transcend through many different realms and spiritual realms. And I think my soul personally is a very old soul, and that's why we talk about old soul, young world. And I can go into that a little deeper maybe later in the show, but growing up, feeling this old soul and feeling this young body that it was in, I knew that this was like one of my last lifetimes here, if that makes sense. And I know to some people listening in, this might seem a little too spiritual.
They're like, they've gone woo. Yeah. We're bringing it back. Don't worry.
We might have gone woo-saw, but there's somebody who needs to hear this.
Yes.
And it's important that when you have days where you're physically struggling and you're stressing and there's all of these physical obstacles in front of you and you feel like you're so disconnected from reality, tap back into what your soul is, what your soul feels, what your soul purpose is, because that's what keeps you aligned with your journey moving forward. So long answer short, that's what I feel like a soul is.
I love it. I love when you said it's the thing that holds your resilience and things like that too, because that's just a new way that I've heard about it. Because look, y'all, I was raised Catholic. I got a lot of stories. I was raised Catholic. So this concept of like what the soul is in religion and all these things, and I do not talk politics on this podcast. I'm actually going to make a specific reference though. We have an administration in the country right now.
That was a kind word of you.
Running
Sorry.
It's the best. It's the best I come out. You see my eye did like a thing. Watchers are like her eye did a thing. But we have an administration that is controlling the country right now. And I have friends down in D.C. and D.C. has some stuff going on right now.
For sure.
But I think it's important that with all the chaos going on, we have to be informed and find facts and understand how laws work, how things really work. So all this to say that the things happening down in D.C., I think there's a very specific like timeline to them. They may only last for 30 days. Don't quote me on this, but I don't want to dive down this rabbit hole with you. The point is, when I was done listening to this kind of great breakdown of what was happening down there, the person ended by saying he has, you all know who I mean by he has a hole in his soul. And I said, bars.
That's the best way you could say it, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because, well, I won't go deeper, but if you have a hole in your soul, or if your soul is broken, or you've disconnected from it so much, like you're really not aligning back on your purpose. And you can get, like I said, consumerism would have consumed me. And who you're talking about, consumerism has consumed.
Yeah. And it's a part, I talk about this, I'm not going to go too deep into society, but I think we're all living this now. And it does play into creativity.
For sure.
And I think we're all starting to wake up from, and I don't think it's a bad thing. There's periods of history where people just get comfortable, you know, right? We had a good run for a while, but now after pandemic, being an entrepreneur, what are my values? How am I shaping the world that I want to live in? Exactly. I realize now, like, oh man, I have to shed some of this stuff that I might have thought was it was important, or, you know, we just kind of, where I think humans in a way are meant to consume things, but we have choice and will over that which we consume.
For sure.
So I'm just trying to consume healthier things, but also using the disruption to teach a few lessons.
I love that.
That's all we're giving the administration today.
That's it.
So, but I love that, because when you said soul, it made me think, like, how do we define this? And it brought me back to that moment, like, ooh, to have a hole in your soul, that is not good. That's something you want to work on.
Exactly.
I do understand when you say you feel like this is your last go around. I believe in karma, and I'm like, I want to get it right this time. I don't know what right is, but I feel like I really am in my purpose and my path. Yeah. And so I understand that, like, cycle of completion.
Yes,
and
exactly.
There's something even beyond that. So
for sure.
Look, the woos loved us, and we're going to get back to business if the woo is not for you. Okay? No judgments.
Love that.
I love this, the inspiration. What now is one thing? It could be an object, a ritual, a moment, a tool, whatever comes up for you. But what's one thing that connects you back to yourself, even to your soul maybe, but to yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, I feel like there are a few answers. I'm not going to break the rules this time, though. I'm just going to go with one. But I think my tool would be, man, it's so hard. It's between a paintbrush and a pen, because those are my two forms of expression. But I think I'm going to pick a paintbrush, because that was Something that I picked up after, like I said, I started writing poetry in 5th grade. So I was exposed to painting and art after I was already exposed to writing. So though my soul speaks through writing, my tool is through a paintbrush. It is an ability for me to express visually what I can't say out loud. And it's the ability for me to be okay with mistakes and having fun and embracing color and embracing mixing without the stress of like an outcome, if that makes sense. Something I can just release through. And because I started that probably around the same time I started spoken word. So I was like going into 8th grade, like 7th grade, 8th grade, that, you know, it was something that I've had a long attachment to and something I still go back to. So just yesterday, actually, that was 2 days ago, but yesterday, I found myself in a very blocked mental state of mind. And I picked up a notebook for the first time, which it's kind of going against the tool that I said I would use, but it was a pen. But I started to sketch. And sketching to me is also a form of painting because once you sketch, you can pick up the brush and you can paint over it. And it always like regrounds where I came from and what I started with. And I think it's very special as well because not a lot of people know that I was a painter or that I did live painting for like 10 years. And it's something that has always been so deep to me personally. So that would be my tool.
Live painting sounds so stressful to me. If I was doing
live painting at hip hop events, so you already know it was not the crowd for it. But
let me tell you something.
I love painting Biggie Smalls. I'm not gonna lie. Tupac Biggie Smalls, you should see my Tupac zombie. I'm gonna have to send it to you.
Okay, send me this.
Girl.
You know I'm a business person. I'm like, have we monetized these things yet? I'm always thinking, I've always got a hustle in me.
How do we tap into
this? I like your tool. I'm going to give you two tools because you know what? When you were talking about the pen and the paintbrush, what came to me is when I think of pen, right? That's a very targeted, intentional, what we're writing, what we're sketching.
Yeah.
Also, a pen gives you a very... I don't want to say it like a narrow, it's a very specific focus, right? You're writing out something, the lines are the lines. When I thought paintbrush, I thought of these broad strokes and how you can just infuse paintbrush adds some flair to it too. So I like your two tools and I like that, you know, they can be foundational, they can be collaborative towards each other. We start out with the pen and transform into the paintbrush.
Yes. Can I add one quick thing?
Go ahead.
So, you know, when I started painting as well, I started with acrylic. So for any artists out there, like acrylic is very like you really can't fix it too much. Like it's like you're pretty like, you know, in your lines, whatever. And I remember I was going to a local art teacher and one day I came in and she goes, Jessie, this is just so rigid. You're literally not giving yourself the space. I'm switching you to watercolor. And I thought that day, I was like, I'm going to have a breakdown. But for anyone out there who knows the difference, they're huge opposites.
Oh, yeah.
In the watercolor, let me understand that like, I don't have control of everything and I have to let control go from anything in my life so I can retake control of myself and my purpose. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Oh, that's deep. Yeah, because watercolors I wouldn't go to naturally because the spreading of the paint freaks me out. Like
oh my gosh, I was losing it. And you keep that in the lines.
I think there's something about coloring. Okay, I'm going to see your Tupac zombie and we won't go into this here, but I'm going to show you the art that I created in junior high that brought me to the ambassador position that I told you about. Yeah, it started with some artwork, but girl.
I didn't know that.
Don't get ready to be impressed.
So you're an artist yourself?
Starving artist. But funny enough, I feel like I'm always the person doodling. I have a mean little doodle flower that I do every time I'm on a call. I used to be the girl that did the Running Man in the corner of like all my school books. Love because that animation. So animation in its early forms. Exactly. People don't know this. During the pandemic, no, was it during the pandemic? No, it wasn't even during the pandemic. Oh, I got laid off.
You know,
in that point in my career when I got laid off one time, I went into, I don't love to use the term starving artist per se, but I was like, I'm going to go buy an easel. And I started with acrylic painting. I did paint nights, you know what I mean? And just love a vessel to create. I'm also the girl that don't invite me to your house to do Easter eggs or a pumpkin because I'm going to be there for 4 to 6 hours for sure.
Gosh,
yeah.
I love that.
Because we're really getting into it. Yeah, I
Yes.
get into the project. So yeah, I love this. So I love that this is the thing that connects you and takes you back to your creative self. Yeah, I have a lot of vessels. Yeah, we'll spend time talking. I mean, I played the flute. Okay,
girl.
Yeah, I have a lot of useless creative.
Love that.
It's like they don't make me money.
They'll come in handy one day, though.
But look,
they always do.
Actually, I'll go on a riff. I was just talking about this. I have 3 degrees. Whole different story. Not intentionally, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and people kept saying like, I think you should do this, and I'm like, sure. But my favorite degree that I actually chose myself was liberal arts. I got to do charcoal drawing. I got to play the piano. I love that degree. I think everybody actually should be required to have one. I think it should be in high school, and you leave with that at minimum, because it teaches you about humanities and the arts. But it also, those are the classes that actually let you explore having fun outside of like the curriculum you're learning for your career or to have the business or whatever. So yeah, I love liberal arts. So yeah, I was a
liberal arts degree too, girl. You already know. My associates was liberal arts. Because I just couldn't make a decision at first.
Where'd you get your degree?
North Shore. Girl, do you too? North Shore love.
Shout out to North Shore Community College.
Danvers and Lynn.
I love that moment.
Yes.
Look, yeah. And it informed a lot. I think it helped open my mind. I just think it did things for me to be able to understand creative people, to be creative. And I'm just not like a black and white person. There's always something in between for me. So I love that. Okay. Look, you win. Hold on. You win. She brought it out. All right, you guys ready?
Out the prize.
I told you, you're going to be surprised, but you're not going to be surprised. You win your own movie theater size box of Dots candy.
Oh my gosh, I am so honored.
Not yet sponsored by Tootsie Roll Industries.
But maybe one day. Thank you so
much. You win. You're so welcome.
Wow, I love this.
Thank you for connecting the dots to who you are so we can learn more about what really led you up to where you are. So this is the part where I transition into a bit of more of a core conversation. Jessie, I'm going to focus on the who, the how, and the why now and dig a little bit deeper because I think the thing that connects people to us, I think the thing that's important about community, again, is getting to know the heart of the human behind the work, right? The work's always going to be the work, but why do we want to work with people, right? What makes people magnetized to us, and how do we show up and bring that good work into the world? So you've walked in a lot of different shoes that we've heard, right? We have artist, speaker, youth mentor, podcast host. I love to call you a multi-passionate, right? You're using your purpose in different ways. Can you tell us who Jessie is really? I always say, like, I would love to know the ungoogleable version of you that exists behind the mic, the brand, the work. So tell us who Jessie is in your own words.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to wrap it back to kind of what we first talked about, but truly I am an old soul. And that is something that I learned from a young age when people would always say it to me, Jessie, you have an old soul, you have an old soul. I thought it was a downfall of mine. And as I got older, I realized, no, my vulnerability is my strength. My emotional intelligence is my power, my superpower. And the more I was able to grasp into that and understand that, like, this terminology was really my sensitivity and my emotion and my empowerment coming out of my physical body very young. So that is something that I really resonate with. And as a person, as a human, like you said, I am a multidisciplinary disciplinary artist. But aside from that, I am somebody who just truly cares about the future of our communities and where our youth are going from my own life experience. And I talk about it on my personal show a lot, and I try to incorporate it in a way that's people are able to consume in small bits because talking about mental health and talking about wellness and what comes from that can be a heavy topic to some people.
Yeah.
But to me, it's really a part of everyday life. Just like we all get checkups at the doctors, we all need to check in on our mental health. And that, even though it is not all of me, it is a huge part of me. And it's something that I really feel the need to mention off the bat, that like tapping into how I felt with my emotions from a young age just led me to be able to be a motivator, somebody who can connect and understand and listen. Because when you can unconditionally learn to listen to people instead of just responding, you are able to really hear and tap in to a lot more spiritually and purposefully. And so, you know, I consider myself an impactful human that has a lot of flaws, but is here to make a difference. I believe that my one word in this lifetime is to inspire others. So inspire is a word that I choose to intentionally surround everything I do around this word inspire. And that has been something that even on my low days or my high days, like tapping back into that concept of that word and understanding, like I said, I'm a human with flaws. I'm a human who's been through really bad circumstances and abusive situations and, you know, self-harm, but out of that mountain, that volcano that was building up for so long, erupted a spiritual human with a purpose. And that's really all I can say about myself right now. I mean, there's, you know, so many labels I can put on me. Motivational speaker, I'm a host, I'm an artist, I'm this, I'm that. But like at the end of the day, I'm a spirit and I'm a soul and I'm an old soul. And I am using this temple that I'm in the most inspiring way that I feel like I can in this lifetime to hope to affect, you know, we can talk about this as well, because through Old Soul Young World, I was actually able to start a recent business that I know we chatted about, but creating a space where people can create healthy digital footprints, they can create healthy media, and they can have a choice in understanding what that is, you know? And, you know, not to dive too deep into it, but like growing up at the time, going to school, finishing school, like Kardashians and reality TV and all of that was really big at the time. And as a young woman who didn't ever expect like, oh, I'm going to be a female entrepreneur, you know what I mean, by a certain age, that wasn't my end goal. I thought I was going to be an artist forever. I thought I was going to be selling my paintings. I'm going to be doing spoken word. I'm going to do that. Life had different plans for me. You know what I mean? And by embracing the struggle around me and embracing how the environment was changing around me, I was able to just tap into that at the perfect timing for myself, to be able to move forward and be okay with who I was. Because for a very long time growing up, like I was not okay with Jessie Elly. I was not okay with who I saw in the mirror in the morning. And it held me back, not from opportunities, from myself, from embracing self. And I am finally on a plateau where I understand self-love more, and I understand that self-love doesn't always mean being, you know, 100% on all the time. Right. You know, self-love doesn't mean always showing up for every single thing for everybody else, but never for yourself. Self-love is very much wrapped in being an imperfect human and embracing your purpose for your future. So that was I don't know if that even answered what you were 100% asking, but girl,
you're my people. You served a sermon. You served a sermon. And I actually have a label for you. It's a concept that I talked about in a previous episode, but I feel like it's one, it came up for me. Two, I'm going to give it to you and you can do what you will with it. But I think it will help you start a conversation, especially with the youth that you serve. And I think you're a world builder.
Ooh.
Well, you have world in your brand, so this is very on brand. But you're a world builder because I think, again, you're building a world that you want to live in, that you actively want to like live in. But then also I think the work that you do with youth, right, the digital footprint and helping them find a healthy balance for themselves between mental, social, all the layers. But I think you're helping them create an awareness about how do you want to show up in this world and what kind of world do you want to live in?
Right.
Because also through what you teach them, I think that activates them and gives them voice to be advocates for themselves too. And trust me, this world right now needs some building.
Need some building for sure.
I think we all have the power to build the world that we want to live in, and somehow that converges with actual life too. So
I love that term,
You're a
world builder, girl.
She's been approved by the Dot Connector.
Hey.
This is what I do. I like this.
Check.
Check. You're a world builder. I'd love for you to take that and infuse it where you will if it aligns for you, that part. The part we're going to take off of the podcast is, as you were talking, I have a connection for you to a young lady. She's about 14 or 15 years old.
Okay.
She has written a book on mental health. She considers herself a global mental health advocate. This is the part where I look at all the women that are afraid to sell their thing or do their thing, and I'm like, please go do the thing. There's a 14-year-old out there selling a book. You got this.
Yes.
She's also created a deck of cards, to identify emotions. Because I'll tell you this, I only had 2 emotions when I was growing up, and it was like happy or mad.
Yes.
And in the middle, we weren't really allowed to be sad. There was like no crying in my household, but no judgment on my parents. We've come to the point where we're very healthy with our emotions now.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm going to have to give you this connection because I feel like it serves the work you do. So I love that.
Love that so much.
Yeah. Look, we are here for the connections too. So, and look, I love being with look, we're already connected. We know how this goes.
Yes.
I love this conversation.
Yes, for sure.
Let's talk about the how, because people always think like, okay, right, this stuff looks easy. How do I show it? The how is the thing that trips up people all the time. So again, going back to some of the things that Jessie said earlier, right? Surround yourself with the people that can see something in you that you can't see in yourself. Sometimes I tell people, please don't worry about the how, just go do and create, right? Just go out there and put your thing in the world. Surround yourself by people that say, hey, go put your thing in the world and really support you. So now to the how. You've built a platform, you pour into young people, and you've created a space for these real and deep and meaningful conversations. How did this all begin? This is the part where I start to connect the dots. Like, how did this all begin? How did it evolve into what you're doing? Was it one pivotal moment? Was it kind of a shift? Was it a hard left?
Yeah. So definitely, I can answer that question. It's so interesting when you ask this because in my head, it's like this Rolodex where I just go back to my childhood and I go back to like these younger years of my life, or it's like pre-starting Old Soul Young World and after starting Old Soul Young World. And why I look at it like that is because so much that happened in my journey growing up and understanding who I was is what led me to what the how is right now. And a lot of people don't, we can't see everybody else's lives. We can only live from our body. I can look at you from my eyes, but you'll never see you from my eyes. You know what I'm saying? So we can only be who we are and what we are. And it all started for me through my struggles with mental health. That's really from the very beginning, family issues, mental health runs generationally in my family as well. And this was not something that was an open topic, as you just mentioned, shout out your family now, you have a healthy relationship, but crying wasn't allowed, talking and saying, I'm depressed or, I'm self-harming or I'm suicidal or whatever it may be growing up. It wasn't an open conversation. It was a we'll take you to a therapist. We'll get something that can cover that. So it was just a big part of who I became and from a very young age, already having tapped into the artistic side, like I said, writing in 5th grade, but then mixing that with the world's obstacles and not feeling like I fit in necessarily to any one group. You know what I mean? Always kind of feeling like the black sheep, always feeling like I'm not really sure where I should be stepping in, always having to have my legs spread across 2 different lines. Because people would judge me from, physical appearance, what you look on the outside, without ever considering like, how does your soul look and what's inside of you? And I had to be able to balance that out as a young woman navigating this world, navigating relationships, going through abusive relationships at an extremely young age, and understanding that like that wasn't love, but taking a long time to be able to get to the point where I could even recognize that.
Yeah.
So truly my how I am here right now is struggle to success. Like I struggled through obstacles and self-negativity and outward negativity and abusive relationships and family trauma for me to get to the point where I needed to self-express and I needed to speak out. Yeah. So I won't go over the whole, spoken word in high school story again because, we know about that, but it really did play into me finding my voice and embracing my voice. And what I realized is emotions aren't weak. Empathy, having an empathetic voice of a generation is the strongest, most powerful thing that any of us can embrace. And having vulnerable communication, being able to speak and not be ashamed or embarrassed for what your quote unquote downfalls or your faults are, because our faults are our strengths. And everything that I could look back and I could reflect in my past and be like, damn, why did I do that? Or why didn't I learn at a younger age? Or why is that person ahead of me and I'm still here? It's because I was healing through different traumas. But I want to also say healing can be resistance. And we can say over and over, I'm healing, but not moving forward.
Yeah.
And we can also move forward in a straight line, or we can move forward at an incline. And that's where I had to get myself. Not that I'm just waking up and dragging my feet around every day, but I'm actually working towards this soul purpose that I felt so deep inside. And one thing that I didn't say, because it would have been too many people, but when you said like, who inspired you? Since I started writing in 5th grade, I would tell my mom, I was crying to her. So think about a 5th grader crying to her mom saying, I have a purpose in this world, but I don't know what it is. And outside of the outward relationships, what played into me understanding like who I was embracing that I knew I had this purpose. And this purpose heavily played into me feeling depressed because I didn't know what it was. But I would speak about purpose since 5th grade. So that was something that like also played into this journey of like, okay, so now that I'm older, now that I have my voice, I have some money, I'm doing some things, I've made some steps in the world, definitely not where I thought I would be at in my head. And I think that's something as well, like, you're never going to be in the spot that you think in your head. You're going to be where life is putting you and where you're supposed to be. Things don't happen to you. They happen for you. And I knew you had heard that one, but it is really something.
I'm just starting to embrace it in my 40s.
Exactly. You feel me? It is something that takes a long time to be able to accept and understand that the things that were happening that you were so resentful and so angry about and so hateful about, when you let go of those feelings and those emotions, but you embrace the vulnerability that it gave you, that's when you can truly tap in.
Yep.
And that's when I started to learn. So as literally, I had a dream one night, I woke up, and the only thing that was going through my head was old soul, young world, old soul, young world, old soul, young world, old soul, young world. So this was around 2021. Obviously, we all had a really hard time in 2020.
Yeah.
In the pandemic, in the midst of it. So when that happened, and like I said, I had talked to my friend about it, and I really just took that jump. I took that fear of judgment, that fear of everything I had been through growing up and everything that I wanted to reclaim about myself, and I put it into this platform. So when people see what Old Soul Young World is today and that we're on season 3 and we've interviewed 95 guests, etc., what I like to say is like, this is no longer just a podcast. This is a brand. This is a business. This is Old Soul Young World LLC. And I couldn't have got there without that struggle to know what this is. And when I started it, I didn't know finances. I didn't know how to be a female entrepreneur. I had no idea. It was, I want to speak out about this platform and see others struggle to success. So in 2021 is when I started in my room doing a radio, talk show podcast. And within, I want to say like 3 months, I went to an audio recording studio. So it's still all audio, but now I'm recording in a physical studio. So I'm like, okay, awesome, moved up in the world. At that time, I didn't feel like that was my vision. What my vision was always like a TV show. Like we're talking like Oprah Winfrey, like I'm bringing the guests out, we're sitting down, we're chopping it up, but it's always reflective and deep. And like at the time, because this was 2021, podcasts were like jumping off. Like everyone was having a podcast. I mean, even till today, everyone has a podcast, but the thing was, at the time when I was starting, a lot of the large female podcasts were very much like relationship based, sexual based, like advice based on relationships or sexual stuff. You know what I mean? So there was no one in the space as a female that I saw who was talking about mental health, who was talking about motivation, who was talking about the struggle, and I needed it. And I had nowhere to go to find that content at the time that I personally related to. Because I'm sure there was stuff out there, but nothing that I had been exposed to and related to. So that was really my concept in 2021 when I started. And then in 2023, after moving through, I'll kind of fast forward my very long and emotional story of working with 4 different studios during that time, 4 different producers, moving through teams, being not only the CEO, founder, host, but being the editor, being the producer, being the booker, the person who's doing it all. So it got to burnout at one point. But before, it got to that burnout point, it was like, yes, this is what I've been wanting to do. And this is where I feel like when I was in 5th grade and I was crying to my mom and I'm talking about my purpose, it has always been my vulnerable communication. It has always been my true superpower, like I said. And if it wasn't for that, I physically, literally mean I would not be here today talking to you. I would have removed myself from this physical plane because that's what my intentions were. There has been, when people say, oh, there's this one point in my life, there was this one situation that happened that made me realize I didn't want to be alive anymore. I didn't want to be here anymore. My story is very different because there wasn't one point or one time. There was a lot of points and a lot of times that people didn't see me crying, almost giving up, literally sitting by the ocean like, maybe today's the day, and people don't see that behind, oh, this motivational platform you had now. That success came from that struggle. And it came from the ability to take that leap and to jump in and share. And I'm so happy to say, though, now that like since 2023 and making that choice to LLC the business, because one other thing, like, I'm dropping all the secrets. So if people listen to this, like, this is stuff you ain't heard before. I've never shared this. When I was finishing season 3, there was a very disruptive life situation that happened with me and the person I was producing with. And I was like, we're getting syndicated next year. We're doing all this stuff. Like, it was rolling. Everything was on the right track. And when I know we can all relate to this, but when you create teams or you rely and you trust in people and that trust gets betrayed or broken, it's something, especially when you are so like tied into your purpose and your impact and that happens, it can break you. You know what I mean? And I've been broken. I've been beat down, broken mentally, emotionally, physically by not only female mentors in my life, but teams that I've been working with for the podcast. And in 2023, when that happened, I was going to give up. I literally, I was in one of those states where I was talking about, not one time, many times, it got me back to that state of mind from when I was a child. And I'm like, damn, Jessie, like, you're a failure. Like, you literally work so hard just to fail again, to have people see you fail. Now your platform's grown and people are expecting this, and you just hit this point in your life, this timeline, this imaginary timeline you've created, and you've reached this certain pinnacle, and now you're the biggest failure. And I literally could have taken it two ways. I could have given up everything, given up everything I was building through Old Soul Young World, being a motivational speaker, or just, soul who's putting myself out there. Or I could double down, and I could understand that, like, I didn't come this far for no reason. Every struggle, every situation, every person that lets you down, every thing that doesn't work out how you think it's going to work out is leading you to what is actually supposed to be. And it was, again, reclaiming myself and being like, you are always meant to do this in your own terms. You were meant to do this by your own decisions, not relying on a team or a certain producer or certain equipment. You will figure it out, because this is part of your soul purpose. This is part of your inspiration and your impact. And that's when I decided to LLC the business. So I literally was like, I'm either going to end everything, or I'm going to LLC this shit. Excuse me, LLC.
We swear on this podcast.
Oh, okay. I'm a LLC this shit. And that's exactly what I did. So from then, going into, and I'm sorry, I did say season 3, it was season 2 I was talking about. For season 3 last season, that's when, I took on all the hats, and I did the editing, I did the producing, I did the booking, and I kept it going. But to be here in 2025 and to be able to say, this is no longer just a show. Our last season we put out was a year ago, and our impact hasn't declined. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that was always the purpose, that this would grow beyond a podcast, beyond a show, and it would be a motivational media hub and a platform. Actually, when me and my team, the current team I have, which shout out my amazing team, I literally couldn't do it without them. Like, the meetings we have every week, I'm just blessed. But it took a long time to get there, and I just lost the thought I was going to say about that. But either way, the how of how I got here, again, was through pushing and understanding and giving myself the time and giving myself patience to understand that this is going to grow on its own terms. But the one thing that I can control, I can let go of all the other things I can't control. The one thing I can control is me showing up for myself, me showing up for me, and being consistent with what I know that vision is. Because any genius in this life, any inventor, any philosopher, before they call them genius, they call them crazy. Before they call them an inventor, they call them crazy. And the amount of times I've had people come to me and say, Jessie, you're crazy. Why are you doing this? Jessie, you're so emotional. Jessie, you're so sensitive. This is never going to make any money. This is never going to go anywhere. It was reclaiming that moment to be where we are now. Oh, and what I was going to say to my team when we first started talking about, like, how do I even explain to them what I'm trying to build? Right. And, like, to the people who, like, might be like, wow, this is a really big, confusing concept. Like, what I look at it is Barstool Sports, but motivation. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's different segments, platforms, they're just different creators in the future is what I envision it to be, but all motivational based in this media hub of Old Soul
get
Young
it.
World.
You, my friend, are building an ecosystem.
Period.
That's what we call it. That's why I call you a world builder, because it's not just the podcast. The podcast is a branch to something. It's a channel to the work that you do and all the things. So, and seeing a lot of ecosystem builders out there, it's a very big vision, and people do in fact think they're crazy for being a vessel for such a large vision. But what I've learned is, when people tell me something's crazy, I'm like, oh, I'm investing in that. I love hearing that.
For real.
It tells me a lot about, the work that I do is when I hear those people, it's kind of a cue to me. Like, I need to kind of look at my network real quick because I actually need to be around more people that tell me, how can we do that? As opposed to, like, I appreciate that you're so crazy, but at the same time, that is not supportive for the vision I'm holding.
Right.
And I also tell people, okay, I'm glad you think this is crazy. Why don't you go out and build something and then come holler at the kid?
100%.
I don't
Mikki.
need people to cast their stones at me while I'm in the process.
Know.
So I loved your whole story because I actually think there's some arcs in there. And if you give me a moment, I would actually like to connect some dots because I think you're touching on something that I talk about. And the way you presented it was really good. And I think I heard something in there. So if I may, first of all, I love anybody that is suffering from burnout, the comeback from rising from those ashes, because I've been there. And there is my story and my own podcast is for another day. But there was a time during my caregiving days where I just kind of lost the hope of even having a purpose. I was like, if this is my purpose, I guess I'm done when this is done. And being so burnt out, not wanting to harm myself in any ways, but I just remember nights like, if I don't wake up tomorrow, I'm totally fine with that because I'm very tired. Like just very tired. Yep. There is, what's that saying? Look, there's a test in every testimony. I call myself the Hot Mess Express, but I tell you right now, on the Hot Mess Express, there is a message in the mess. So I hear you in that, like, look, we build solutions and things for people that we didn't have access to.
Exactly.
I just believe that. I laugh all the time because in the work I do, I'm literally just solving the problems that I couldn't ask for help for or support for, or just didn't know how to ask for help or support for. So I love that you bring up all those things inside the how to how you got here, because I think that we need to normalize that. I also say that I live on Struggle Street all the time, but not even in a bad way. I'm just like, look, life
we should
hard.
all live there.
Struggle Street is real. You meet a lot of real people on Struggle Street and on the Hot Mess Express. A lot of people riding that train. But I have my own philosophy on life, and actually given to me by my dad. So I tell people I'm like the CEO of my life and my business. So I take ownership over that. But life is hard. Like I don't know anybody that's found the cookie cutter solution for this thing. I've not seen anybody like on 100% easy street. So I think we have to normalize that life has its challenges. We grow from that, and we can also create some good from what we go through. The thing that I want to connect the dots on is I have trust issues. I have my own stories. I have trust issues. But what I found about trust, and kind of what I heard in your how a little bit too, I think there's this thing of when stuff happens, especially with people that we are working with or have asked to be a part of something, or they're just close to us in some way in our life. Yeah. When something happens there, right, especially something that breaks your trust, because that's a very important thing. I tell people I'm in the business of trust, is that what I think subconsciously also happens that we don't give enough space to speak on is when people break our trust, subconsciously for us, it makes us question our self-trust.
Yes.
Am I making the right decisions? Like, am I an idiot? Look, I've been building a business. I have a business degree, and there's many times that I'm like, am I an idiot? Am I a failure? Like, what is going on with me?
Literally.
But it's fine because I just realized you can't see from inside the box. You need people in this life. But I think what you really touch on is, look, if you make enough decisions, and I don't call decisions good or bad, it's just that when you make enough decisions that kind of challenge the trust, there's this circular moment that happens where you're just like, your self-trust is broken. The decision where you say, this is a thing, we're going forward, I'm going to do it, it just really sounds like in your healing somewhere, you were able to trust yourself again, trust your decisions. And I tell people being the CEO of your life really for me is one big thing. I could get into my whole DOTS framework, but I'm not going to do that because I haven't trademarked it yet. But one
Don't
big
share
thing.
the secrets.
One thing, I'll just share the candy.
Just the candy.
Is one big thing is my thing of being CEO of your life is you own everything. You own your time. You own your energy.
Yes.
You can say, okay, I did it this way, but I'm changing it now because it honors me. So I just love that I feel like you told a story of trust in there. Especially for the women that listen to this podcast, I think it's very important to know, look, we're going to make decisions. We're going to have people that break our trust, but it's very important to kind of self-check.
For sure.
And make sure you can trust yourself because you can you're supposed to fail at life. Nobody gives a
100%.
guidebook to this thing.
Exactly.
Crazy place.
It's crazy.
That's why I'm fulfilling my journey now, because I don't know that I want to come back.
And I love that connecting. And I think what you said, like the trust is so key. It's so important to be able to even like, and I just want to say for anyone listening in, if you wake up and you still doubt yourself and you still have trust issues with yourself, it's okay. Like you can still keep showing up while simultaneously having trust issues. Struggle, trust, depression, happiness, they can all live at the same time. They can all coexist. You don't have to be choosing, but you do have to show up for self.
Yeah. Yeah. On my worst days now, the best piece of advice I could give to anybody. And it's hard. The hard days are hard because you think it's going to be like this. That's why the work you do with young people is so important, by the way, because when you're young, you think like one bad day, for some reason, this is the rest of your life, right?
Sure.
And you can get stuck in those moments and it's really hard. But now, even on the best day, when I'm having like a bad day, I'm like, you know what? We're going to pack this one up. We're going to go to sleep. We're going to try it again tomorrow.
Honestly.
Something tomorrow's going to shift. We're just going to try it again tomorrow,
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the only thing I need to get me like to the next day. And, just throw it back. I'm like, I'm resting today. We're going to do something for me.
For
and
sure.
just go from here. So I think super important lessons here. I love where we're going in here. I told you before we started here, I stifle like nothing. The message is the message, and I love where we're going with this. So let's talk about your why a little bit. And we may or may have not tapped on this, but I think the why is so important because, again, on the bad days, right? On the days where you could be in your head and you're just like, what am I doing? I laugh because recently I've had a lot of these, and to be where I'm at today, I'm just like, it's such a roller coaster of like the failure ride, right?
Trust
to
me.
embrace it.
Yes.
But on the really bad days or the days that it feels like nothing's going right, something keeps allowing us to show up.
Yep.
And some days I'm like, it's the one thing I can do. If I can't do anything else today, I can just show up as I am unapologetically. So let's talk about your why. Why does inspiring others, especially young people, I think that work is so important now for going into the future, legacy, all of that. But why does inspiring others matter so much to you? Why is it more than just a business or a creative outlet?
Yeah.
She's going to go to purpose.
I was trying to literally hold the
I kind of
purpose
answered the
word
question
back.
in my mind.
I literally was like, I got to push that word back. I've used it like 90 times.
You know what? We may be in a purpose-driven era because I'll tell you right now, since pandemic, I have seen people shifting to purpose-driven businesses, social impact. We are definitely at a pivot point where we're not doing... Look, there's two camps out there. You're either trying to do it the same way we were trying to do it before pandemic. Let me know how that's working out for you.
Facts.
Or we're actually in a really interesting point in history where we're literally creating the future. So I don't care that you touch on purpose again, because like you said earlier, and I agree, somebody is going to need to hear this that is in their purpose that could be doubting themselves. But I was just laughing because as I ended it, I was like, okay, this is like
the purpose.
can tell that I rate my questions ahead of time sometimes. I'm like, purpose. But again, okay, so so why, so if we know that it is in fact purpose, speak on it. Why does it matter so much beyond the business or the creative outlet?
Yeah, it matters because you had actually touched on this, but the young Jessie Elly needed me. And there are youth out there who need me. And there are youth out there who are wanting to take their life today. And by hearing any words or inspiration or motivation from somebody who that they understand has also been in that struggle street or on struggle street, that is something that can connect, vulnerability and inspiration at this crossroads where that can then create a feeling of purposeful, you can tap into your soul purpose. And you also said this as well, but like it gets to that point where you're like, maybe there is nothing after this. Like maybe this is my purpose. And once I finish caregiving or whatever it may be, like that will be that. And what I look at now as I'm like getting older and like realizing how many moments that I took my life for granted in the moment for granted, life is extremely short. Like if you are looking at it on this timeline in front of us, it is a tiny little baby speck just poked right in there. And like it will be over in a flash. And like if the only thing that I can leave on this physical plane is impact for youth who are struggling, who need to be uplifted in the community in this moment of now, where, as you mentioned, our administration or different outside forces are creating obstacles that we don't have control over, but are creating things that take away creatives' hope, that take away individuals' hope, that make you feel like there is nothing to live for. Like, I am here to tell you there is purpose, there is inspiration, and there is going to be, you know, a rainbow after this sun shower, whatever that may be. But like, my why truly is so that like others can continue to inspire. If you can inspire one match, if you can light that one flame, that flame can literally burn for centuries if it's passed down the right way. And like, I really believe in generational impact. And, you know, I do want to touch upon Club Cultivate, but so after, you know, understanding the concept of why I started Old Soul Young World Within, I was able to last year apply for E4All, and through E4All, which is an amazing program. If you don't know, make sure you check them out.
Shout out to our friends, for
sure. Shout them out. I was able to build a new business concept with my partner Radames, and that's called Club Cultivate. And through Club Cultivate, we teach the 4 M's, which is mental health, motivation, mentorship, and media education. And we're combining those aspects to what I just tied in: impact, lasting impact, generational impact. We can have youth today using phones in a positive way. In 5 years, we can impact 1 million youth to have a healthy digital imprint. But it needs to start with a flame. It needs to start with that concept. And I know, you know, we talked off camera, and like, you are also very passionate about forwarding youth's mindsets, media education. And it's something right now where, like I said, we live in this consumer world, in this consumer environment. The most you can do is have a choice over what you're consuming, how you're consuming it, and also what you're creating and how you are putting that content out. And I think that is something that, as technology grows and as I get older, and I literally, you know, when I'm 90 and I can't even see my phone, or there's like AI things or whatever, I feel like holograms at that point. Something's going to be
going. The holograms are coming.
No.
The
Have you heard about something?
Well, let me just tell you.
Oh, she's about to drop some knowledge.
I am, real quick.
Oh,
because
I'm nervous. I'm scared.
So the work I do with
Sooner than I thought, I won't be 90.
It's interesting because I was like, I need one of these.
Okay.
So I'll just tell you this, what I saw when I was on one of these trips that we were talking about. So for context, listeners, viewers, I am a national brand ambassador, and really my job doing that is moderating panels of youth or parents and adults, or both, in talking about online safety, digital wellness. You know, a lot of it is digital parenting, but we bring the youth in because
it's important.
Parents, we tend to think, you know, collectively adults, we tend to think the worst, right? And the youth help level set a little bit. But to the hologram point, so I just came back from, it's my last trip, Texas, and we were at like the Hilton Anatole. And I'm just shouting this out because if you go stay here, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about, or if you happen to be at a conference there. So I'm walking through, and it's, you know, it's a big hotel, walking down to the conference center, and there is a white box over in the corner, right? And the white box has a clear screen on it. And a person pops up and gives me it was less about the ad, but it was the fact that it was the hologram of a person.
Are you being for real?
Oh, I'm being dead serious. Now, this was 2D because it was on like the glass, and it's something that's made to travel versus like I think they've already been done, but like hologram concerts are going to be a thing.
I feel like I heard about a hologram concert.
Yeah,
I don't know who it was.
I think somebody did one, but I'm like, oh, this is going to be major money.
For sure.
Insert AI.
Yeah.
Because I could totally see myself going to a Tupac concert.
Oh my gosh. If it was a hologram.
Let me go to all the concerts I didn't get to go to as a kid. But when I saw this box, I said, every time I'm a futurist, when I see the future, I'm like, okay, we're almost there, because I started laughing and I said, oh, we need one of these for Mikki. Like these need to be somewhere where imagine if those again, just think of like a white box with glass like on the front, and it's a very lifelike. It is a person. They're just being
That is crazy.
put. They're in the glass.
The person is in the glass.
But imagine if we had these for motivational
Right.
things in, I'm going big scale now, but like in airports or at a business or something, the world would look different. So I'm going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
People,
We're getting there.
People want to clone themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so the best thing I've heard somebody say about a podcast recently, or video storytelling, all of that, it's a great way to duplicate yourself and put yourself out there. And I said, ooh.
That's
upgrade.
Very interesting.
iOS upgrade in my brain
Literally,
right there.
you're like, what can I do?
Because I always joke about, I wish I could just clone myself because there's not enough of me to do the work that I have to do sometimes.
Yeah.
And so when I see these tech things popping up, I'm just like, we're not that far off. And I will say this, previous episode talked about coming out of the pandemic and how long it kind of takes to normalize out of a pandemic based on some historic research, but not Google. Is that it takes about 10 years based on history. So if you go to Spanish flu 1918, took them about 10 years to come out to see how people were going to move forward. So we're only halfway through that.
Facts.
And so I think we're building what the norm looks like. But 5 more years, people get connected with people not only in your backyard, from around the world, because there's some really fascinating things happening, different states, different countries. Like they got whole like wheelchairs that just come up to you and wheel you where you have to go in the airport. And like, I think it's like Switzerland or something.
You know what I saw in Japan? There's a whole restaurant where like your waiters are robots. Like they literally have faces, they talk to you. But know what's super cool? The people who are like working it are people who have disabilities who are working from home. So they're giving jobs to people with disabilities, but using like technology to support it. So like motivation, holograms, we can go together. We just got to work that nice in-between balance up in there. But that is really what my why is, and why my why is what it is. So.
I love it. Your why is leading us to the future, the work that you do for young people and inspiring them and then showing them that they can create in a healthy way with digital. I'm just going to tell you, I've been an educator, and in my classrooms, I've had young people, they're like, look, I want to figure out how to monetize a Twitch stream.
Right.
I've had
I'm sure you've had a lot of, I want to be a YouTuber.
I've had students like challenge me on like OnlyFans when I'm like, okay, I want you to learn about a company. But you know what's funny is I say this to adults, right? Sometimes put boundaries on things, but don't let young people explore their creativity.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the thing that they learn that they're doing for shock value, it actually teaches them a lesson. So I love your why, because again, you're highlighting on look, we're all trying to find our purpose, I think, at the end of the day. It is the thing that, like, lets us wake up and keep going and doing the things. I think the inspiration is so important because in a chaotic world, sometimes it feels like a dark, heavy world. Even if it's not the bigger world, it's your internal world or what's around you.
Exactly.
To find inspiration in other people to keep going is important. And something that kind of flashed in my mind as we start to round it out here is I always think about Earth, how beautiful this place is, and why can't we just enjoy it? Like, why do we have to consume this thing?
I feel that.
But I think about civilizations that kind of have been lost, and you're like, what happened there? And I don't know that there's a connection, but I do think there is a connection in if we can keep showing up, finding the purpose, inspiring each other collectively, right? Maybe that's the thing that keeps the place spinning and working.
I love that. And you know, I think that is very factual, because if we
Because it ain't going to last much longer if we don't do something
it
now.
is not. I'm like the weekly tsunamis
Not
and
to
fires.
be doom or gloom, but things are changing.
Things changing,
And
for sure.
in my past career, we used to have this tagline, like, things are changing. You have to keep up with the change, right? And I think being a world builder, building ecosystems is now more important than ever, because if we go backwards, does it continue to go forwards?
Right.
So your why is very valid, very important. You didn't need my validation, but I love hearing your why, because it is expansive and it is refreshing, and I am here for it. It also touches on a little bonus question that I'm going to ask to close us out. And in all the things we talked about, I think this theme of community is very underlying in how, when we're alone, we need the people around us to help us shine or to see us or just hold space for us. So I think right now in these times, community is more important than ever.
Yes.
And people, I think, even want purpose in their community, good, bad, or indifferent. You want purpose in your community. So knowing that community is more important than ever, can you tell me what being part of a community like Creative Collective means to you, especially right now?
Yeah, I mean, right now and always, being a part of Creative Collective is giving me, again, the sense of the sense of family, the sense of support and understanding that when I was young and I was going through those struggles and I was crying to my mom saying I have a sole purpose, my mom's not an artist. You know what I mean? No fault to her. She's a beautiful mother. She is very supportive, but she is not an artist. And I needed a community, a group of artists who would understand, what does it mean when I'm saying that I have this purpose? What does it mean that I'm working for a greater good of what things should be? And being a part of the community of Creative Collective has revived that sense in me to be like, wow, this still exists. Wow, this is still alive. There are still places that artists and entrepreneurs and just individuals can come together to support each other in unity. I've said it when I was hosting an event last weekend, but you can't spell community without unity. And it just is what it is. We need to be unified as artists and support each other. And having this family, I will say, is something that pushes that narrative, not only for me as, in this single lane of entrepreneurship, because being an entrepreneur and artist, it's very siloed in a way. We all are on these single paths. And when you can bring, come to a coffee with Collective and bring 50 of those single paths together in one room to mix and mingle and talk and create and brainstorm, it's I would have never met you. I would have never been working with multiple people now that I know and I'm working with. And this community has given me the opportunity to continue to expand who Jessie Elly is in this stage of now, right? Because I've gone through a few decades of life now, but I'm here still creating, still moving forward, still uncovering, relearning, redefining, and Creative Collective gives that space for us to speak about it. Even right here with you in this reflection, in this moment, this is something that Creative Collective has brought together. So it is more than impact. It is more than important. It is more than just a networking group of artists. It is literally family that you're able to support and rely on. So that's what I would say about that.
I love that. You know what? I'm going to give an impromptu plug because I love what you said about Creative Collective, and it is what it is. But shout out to Creative Collective because Jessie's right. Without Creative Collective, this podcast wouldn't be possible. I do not have the capacity to do all the things it takes to run a podcast. So I am very grateful for the collaboration. Shout out to my friends at Peabody TV. If you are not from Massachusetts, I'm just going to say it the way that everybody else says it. I lived in Philadelphia too. Shout out to my friends at Peabody TV, or if you're not from the area, Peabody TV.
Yes.
Because I'm going to get text. I'll get text after this. Sure. Peabody. And so my friends outside of Massachusetts, they like to make fun. But shout out to Peabody TV because, again, our friend Randall, the production that happens behind the scenes, it's truly about being in community collaboration. When you said the unity and community, all I could hear was UNITY. I was like, we got to bring Queen Latifah back. We do need something that feels unified in unity. And actually, Jenny, don't kill me if I get your business name wrong. I should be better about this. But this podcast also has a sponsor. And so I just want to give a shout out to my girl, Jenny Stewart. I think it's Jenny Stewart Fine Jewelry. Fine Jewelry. I'm looking around for everybody. I think that's right. She does jewelry. She's in Salem. And I'm going to give her a shout out in the future, too. There's things in the show notes. But I just want to say, because you said that and you spoke on how important community is, I don't do it often, but I just want to shout out my partners because this does happen in collaboration and it comes together feeling aligned and purposeful.
For sure.
And that's why we like to give a voice to creatives, especially for me, it's women. I do work with women, so I love highlighting women because I know the economic impact that we have. I know what happens when we have profitable careers, businesses, purpose-driven lives. That goes back into our households, our children, our community, the economy at large. So thank you for what you said. And yeah, impromptu shout out to my partners because we acknowledge the hard work you do. I just get to sit here and make it look like it looks easy. It's not. So with all that said, Jessie.
Yes.
So good.
This
I love
was so
this
great.
podcast.
I know, my heart
podcast.
feels warm. My soul's feeling good after this.
I love this place. I love this place, and I hope you people do too. So, Jessie, I just want to thank you for showing up, showing us your heart, showing us your soul, the human behind what you do, and all the honesty you shared, and for reminding us that purpose and creativity are really powerful tools for change.
Yes, facts.
I love
Thank you
this.
so much for having me.
Oh my God, please. Before I close us out, I'm going to include all the good stuff in the show notes. We do all this anyways, but for the person that's listening, they may be on the go. Tell the people where they can find you so they can connect with you, hear the podcast, see the work that you're doing.
Yes. So you can follow on all platforms, Old Soul Young World, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We are in pre-production right now for season 4. We're going to be hitting 100 episodes this season. So that will be coming out sometime in the next year. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And other than that, we're going to have a lot of more motivational events in the community, different content coming out. So again, Old Soul Young World, all platforms. And you can follow me personally at Jessie _ELLLY, Jessie Elly.
Yes, we'll be sure to include all that in the show notes. We're going to make sure people are connected with you. I have some connections to make with you after this. People, you saw the prize. We give out prizes. Thank you for playing.
It was a great prize, girl.
Let me tell you something. There's going to be a lot of connecting the dots here in the future. But thank you for playing the game. Thank you for showing us who you are. Listeners, viewers, I just want to say thank you for tuning in for another episode. I appreciate you. I've been hearing feedback out in these streets about people listening to the podcast and what you have to say. And I'm just proud that it's making an impact on those who are watching and or listening. So if Jessie's story sparked something in you or helped you connect the dots in your own life, we'd love for you to share this episode with someone you think needs to hear it. Because again, we are big on sharing the creativity, the connections, but also the knowledge and the inspiration. So please share this with somebody you know who could benefit from hearing what we talked about today. This is another episode of Creativity Connects with Mikki Wilson. This podcast is produced in partnership with Creative Collective and also our friends from Peabody TV. Creative Collective is a business program that provides modern business support for small businesses and creators. We support entrepreneurs with access, connection, visibility, and resources to grow not just your work, but also your impact. So we, again, love to spotlight relatable stories and build collaborative relationships because every brand is a human being who got here on purpose. See what I did there?
Love that.
Even if the path wasn't always clear. So until next time, I encourage you to keep creating, keep connecting, and keep showing up as your whole self. Thank you for listening to this episode.